Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Terror, Season 1, Episode 8. It's called Terror Camp Clear. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. Can I just say, the title of this episode sounds like an 80s slasher movie.
It does, doesn't it?
I'm expecting a knockoff of Jason Voorhees to start running around killing people in tents.
Maybe that's
Um,
what the monster is.
yeah, I guess, yeah. Needs a mask. That's what he's
Yeah,
missing.
I'm sure we can fit one on him.
Missing a mask. So, first thing I want to talk about this episode is that we were joking about James Fitzjames's name at the start and saying these parents were awful people for naming him James when his second name was Fitzjames. Turns out this was all part of the plan. This is a character point.
It's
His
a
name,
very intentional joke.
yes, his name was made up, kind of almost a joke in and of itself, because he was a bastard child and had to had to find someone to look after him, and it was all very, because he kind of opens up to Francis at the start. We get this kind of and again, we were just talking last week how how much they've grown as a relationship since the start of the show, where they kind of hated each other, and now Francis is actually saying, "Hey, like, even if you did everything for ego, even if you sort of politics your way into this, like, you're doing fine now. There's still
Yeah,
reasons
you
to,
still did it.
yeah." So now he's propping him up, and he had never had done that at the start of the show.
Yeah,
I think it comes down to extreme situations like this. Like they're almost bonding because they're surviving together, and they're seeing their strengths come out when they need to come out. And all the cloud of all the trying to rise in the ranks and all the bullshit you put up with the day to day, it all goes away because we're just in the out in the real, not the real world, but it is the real world, but out in the harsh, like, desolate world, and it's just,
yeah. In the real world is almost getting home. That's
yeah,
once they're back.
yeah, that's the real world to them. But this is
Yeah,
equally real. It's there.
it is. Yes.
So I thought that was an interesting scene. Now we were questioning last week because obviously we had the big ending with Hickey.
Hmm.
Doing these stabbings, and we questioned what he was going to do. And for some reason, it never actually dawned on us that he was going to blame the stabbings on the Inuit family that they encountered out there.
Yeah.
And when they mention because the captains get back and everyone's in a tizzy, they come in and find out. And I love that as soon as they mention Hickey's the one that like survived and came back and told us, Francis immediately has this look in his eye. He's like, Hickey,
Oh,
you
really
say?
now?
It was Hickey
Yeah.
that came back. He survived. Oh, interesting. And then immediately he starts poking holes at it. He starts trying to figure out what's wrong with this story. And but there's interesting things because they mention that they find some of Irving's belongings and their stuff, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense because he gave them some stuff. He gave them a telescope.
Yeah.
He was like sort of trading things with them. So I was actually kind of surprised with the direction of this episode. I thought Hickey would be either just deranged or hiding a bit more. But no, he was like full on. He's back in the camp. He's trying to spin a story. He's trying to convince the men, those Inuits are crazy. We find out that beyond stabbing Irving, he like cut off his nipples and his penis and did all this deranged stuff. And like, oh Jesus Christ, he's really trying to like get everyone to start a revolt essentially. Lady Silence is basically not safe there anymore. Everyone's staring at her as she goes out, but the captain's insisting Hickey coming with them to go check out the bodies because the men went and shot all the family.
Yeah.
When Hickey told them the story, they went out and they shot them. They gave the order, and one of them's a kid, and the whole thing. And basically, like, I love that the captains are flat out just saying, well, if Hickey's telling the truth, we'll do this, but if he's not, we'll do this. Like, there's never like an assumption that he's actually telling the truth. It's always no. I don't believe a word of this. Something happened certainly, but I'm not believing a word of it until we have proof one way or the other.
But they don't just immediately say, they don't go, well, he's definitely lying. They go and
Yeah,
check it out. They do it. They have suspicions, but they investigate it. And they say if he is telling the truth, this is the plan. They have that in mind.
yeah, and the proof ends up being that. I mean, it doesn't necessarily prove that he killed them, but it proves that he's lying. Because he obviously he tells a version of his story. They did not include Irving getting fed some seal,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah,
find
no
seal in his
chance.
stomach, and so he turns to the officer who got the initial account, and he's like, "Hey, do you agree this proves that he is lying? That his story is false?" And he basically agrees, and that's kind of where we go from there. And My cat is moving things around, you little shit. Go! Move. Right, good. That's that dealt with. Alright, so... Yeah, so immediately there's this like suspicion, but you can see that Hickey's trying to set everything in motion at the same time, and I think the episode has a very neat ticking time bomb kind of element to it, where they're trying to disprove him. Meanwhile, Hickey's trying to get his group together to leave and run off, along with the Marine and the other group.
The Marine captain.
Yeah. And they end up arming the men against the captain's orders. There's the one officer, Little does give the order, but he kind of regrets it later. And you almost feel that he's almost bullied into it in the scene itself. I felt like there's a point where already 20 men have got guns and they're standing around him, and he's about to tell them to put the guns back, and I'm like, is this going to go well for you?
Yeah. He's like, go on then.
Yeah. But of course, so eventually, we need to arrest both Hickey and the Marine at the same time. We need to get them together. And the last order he has in this scene, he's like, okay, man, you can trust, deputise on this, do this. And the final thing says, oh yeah, and get the carpenter. For what, sir? For the gallows. I'm like, oh damn, okay, we're going straight there. Now, admittedly, what we've seen Hickey do, extreme punishment, definitely.
I'm surprised they went as far as that, because obviously he says, all right, we'll bring him in for court martial. So I'm like, okay, right, they're definitely getting executed.
Yeah. But
I was like, given the situation, I thought they might just be simple, like bullet through the head or something.
Well, I think it's because he wants to make more of a show of it. He wants to show the other men that it's not tolerated, obviously, but I think because the lies he's been spreading, he has to stand up in front of the men and clearly show that he is insidious and that he is a liar, and prove that no, what's best is that we stick together, because him trying to do this is what led to the deaths of several officers. It's what's led to the death of this family, and because I think the cutting part when he gets the guy to bring down the bag and he's like, what's in there? It's seal. Yeah, and he says no. When Irving met this family, they didn't attack him; they fed him.
No, I get all this, but a firing squad would have been a lot simpler than building an entire thing.
Yeah, but
I still have that speech.
You can still have the speech, but I still think it's symbolic. It's still...
Yeah.
It's more dramatic.
It's more dramatic, but it feels like a waste of time and resources and energy.
What else are they doing?
Trying to survive.
They have all the time in the world. They've got nothing but time.
They've got limited supplies.
He wanted a hanging. The man got his hanging. Well, he didn't get his hanging, but he almost had his hanging.
See, if he'd had a firing squad.
Well, no, because it was Johnny's last words. They still wouldn't have got to the shooting yet.
They'd have just gone with it.
Because he's like, no, they didn't stab him. That was Mr. Hickey, and he starts shouting as he's saying this. And at one point Hickey tries to interject, and he's like, "No, you shut up. You will get your turn to speak." And it's all good and well, but when he does get to speak, though, he tries to kind of do the opposite. He tries to make the men not trust Francis. He's like, "Oh, well, you tell us." He actually does an impression. He starts doing his voice. He tries to mimic his accent and doing his voice, and it tells them about how he was going to desert them. Although I mean, I get why he's saying this, obviously, because he's Hickey. And by the way, even as he was getting hanged, he still had that smirk in his face. And I'm like, you know what? The hanging's not good enough. Torture him slowly. I want that smug smirk off of his face.
That would be nice.
On a personal level, I mean, of course, I'm not. This is not an official. This is not my belief in capital. I don't even necessarily support capital punishment. But in the context of this show, wipe that smug smile off of his face. Nice bit of slow torture.
Like, capital punishment's there already, so might as well lean into it.
Yeah. This situation is not the time to start making a speech for against capital punishment. They've got enough problems right now.
Yeah, they do.
And honestly, the sad truth here, I think, is the idea that there are a group of men who might betray the rest of them. Their best option is probably to wipe them out, rather than having to guard them 24/7.
It's just not feasible, is it?
Yeah. Logically, it just makes sense. It does. But he tries to, persuade the men that Francis can't be trusted. My counterpoint to him here is that when Francis wanted to lead that group, that was before Sir John died, right?
Yes.
right? So it wasn't like he was leaving them without a leader. Like, you know, it wasn't like he was abandoning them and leaving them on their own. Like, you know, arguably, yes. Like, there's, I think the drama here is that internally he did want to kind of just leave and go home, and he was willing to sort of do that. And sure, he could dress it up as, no, I'll lead the group, I'll lead the men, so they've got a leader with them. But I think that's part of the journey. Is that's why it kind of stings a little bit true when he says it. It's like, well, yeah, he was going to go, but.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, you know, an evil thing. It's kind of like how they've all grown. Like him and Fitzjames have grown so much
Definitely.
since the start of the show. What actually shocks me is that there's some of the men who are going to go with them that still are willing to go at the end.
I mean,
Now,
you kind of just believe him at this point.
The Marine, I get, because admittedly, I liked it during the speech when Francis is flat out saying, no, he stabbed him, he cut off his nipples, he did all this stuff. I like, because none of the other men knew he did that. At least I don't think they did. Right?
Not that we know of, yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like I don't think they would have been as so gun-ho about all these plans if it involved, I'm going to brutally murder and, like, you know, like defile.
No, I think they believed the story that Hickey was telling, that, you know, that it was the Eskimos.
Yeah, certainly up until that point. But there's a point when Francis is saying all this that the Marine, he has this look in his face. He's like, "What?" like I think if I was him at that point, I'd be like, "Hey, I didn't know he was going to kill someone. Like, I just wanted to leave with him. Like, can I go, please?" But so I get why he would go with him though, because he was about to be killed as well. So from his perspective, even if Hickey is like this deranged, he doesn't have a whole lot of options.
No, I think some of the others, you know, Hickey, his whole final word speech is that, hey, if the captain was lying about those things, he might be lying about everything he's just said about me. So they kind of buy into it a bit and think that, okay, maybe Hickey didn't kill this guy.
Yeah, I think, admittedly, obviously we have the perspective of seeing everything because we're the viewer, but I think, I like to think a good chunk of the men are probably on Francis's side, just purely because I think Hickey's got that look that looks like he's a deceiver. You know, because I think over the course of the events and everything he's done.
I mean, it's worth noting, even all the people that Hickey does have on his side, it's still a small group compared to the company at large.
And also, when Francis asked for volunteers to man the rope to hang him,
quite a few step up.
Yeah, there's quite a few people who just are quite willing to. Yeah, I'm on it, sir. I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll hang the ginger. It's fine. So.
Yeah. You're never gonna let go, are you?
Let what go?
It's always the villains.
That's not true. Ron Weasley's not a villain.
Well, no. But look, stop undermining.
Hell, that's an entire family of noble little gingers who, well, sure, they don't accomplish much, but
they accomplish plenty-ish. Ish. They have their moments.
That is the cry of of the ginger. We're useful, ish. We'll get things done, kinda.
Look, stuff does get done. It's not kinda, it's eventually.
Well, that doesn't help in this situation. They're all dying slowly. They need to get back to proper land.
They'll get back, eventually.
Oh yeah, we'll see. I've got a fair idea they might not, Connor. Don't let me spoil it for you.
No, I know.
But so, what was I getting to? By the end of the episode, they Hickey and at least a group of the men who were going with them are leaving. To the point where Francis let them go, because obviously once hell breaks loose, it's like, okay, we've got bigger problems to deal with.
It's not worth the resources of trying to track him down.
Because, of course, now one of the things I loved about this episode is it gets really foggy really quickly, right? And when some of the men are trying to convince the ones in charge that we need guns or something going on, they're trying, because Hickey's trying to convince them there's an army of Inuits coming to attack us for what we've done. And we can't see them in the fog, and we hear the occasional thing. Joe, there was a point. See when Francis was making his speech before the hanging?
Yeah.
There was a bit in the middle where I thought I heard a laugh, and he kind of turned around and reacted as if there was one. But then he went on as if there was nothing, and I thought, was that in the episode or was that hearing something outside? Was there? Because I've got the surround sound, so it's it was actually
yeah
in the direction, and it's not until the end. The one who was going crazy earlier on, and he took all the what drug was it? I can't quite call what drug it was,
It,
but
it was cocaine was in it, right?
oh, you may be right. Yeah, yeah.
Because
'Cause
the name was Peruvian, I think,
yeah,
but it
but
was
good.
cocaine and something that was
But
mixed in.
good sir comes in and he's like, "Who'd you give all this to? This is really strong shit." He's like, "I'm not giving it to anyone," and obviously he's just had a
We've
swig.
seen that guy walking around high.
Yeah, because it's almost like, cause it's almost really out of tone in the middle of the episode when it cuts to him and he's just like sort of stumbling around and it's like,
And you've got this like cheerful music sort
Yeah.
of thing going on, yeah.
yeah, but it kind of pays off though because right as he's making his final words, he comes like you hear him laugh again and it's creepy because it's just all fog, and then he comes sort of walking in and he's laughing, and then the monster comes in behind him. And the monster starts attacking, and it's just all out chaos from that point on. In fact, as we're running around frantically between characters around the tents, at times the monster's just jumping in and swooping in and killing people here left and
I
right.
think on speculation stuff, it's worth noting that there was no monster last episode, but this one, as soon as Lady Silence is let go, it comes
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, she's let go because they believe it's not safe for her. And I kind of liked it. It felt like even Fitzjames cared about her when he necessarily didn't at first. It felt like even he's like, "Here's your things. I got all your things. It's not safe for you to come back." Like it felt like okay. And good sir, is kind of sorry to see her go. Tries to convince her to stay. No, I'll speak to the men. I'll make it safe for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure this moment really landed that much because we set up the start of a relationship with them and good say, and then. Nothing. We never really saw much of it, and then now I'm just, it got to this point where it's like, "No, stay. It's fine."
Well, I don't have a problem with this because to me this wasn't like, see if they'd kissed or something like that, I'd be on your side here.
Yeah.
But for me, this was more like he still saw her leaving as being dangerous for her, and so this was still just he cares about her. He's trying to get her to stay. It wasn't so much, "Oh, I'm in love with you, please stay."
Okay.
Well, it depends how you read the scene, I suppose. But
I read it more that way. It was like, "Oh, I want to take you back to England and show you all there."
Oh, I mean, it does say that, yeah. But again, like, he's brought this up before, where it's this point of pride where he's like, "This is not who we are. England is a paradise, and we're all much better people." It ain't people. Like I'm I'm leveling with you.
It's pretty shy, isn't it?
I'm leveling with you.
Yeah, he says that as a Scotsman, so that like he says it as an insult. I say it as an Englishman. Yeah, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
I'm just saying that his idealistic view of the fatherland is not so hot.
No, it's not. It's not great.
Actually, is England referred to as a fatherland or a motherland? I can never remember which country's referred to as which. Does it matter?
I don't think so.
I know Germany's normally the fatherland. I feel like Germany's always the fatherland.
It is. I feel like England's a motherland, but
It doesn't. I mean,
I wasn't going to fight you on it.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. It probably doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But hey, so, well, how's it going? Yeah. So yeah, as soon as Lady Silence goes, all of a sudden we get a monster attack, and then you have to wonder as well. I think it's worth mentioning, like, maybe is it less Lady Silence and more the family that was killed?
Okay.
If we're dealing with the idea of mythology, is this revenge for the family, or is it because the monsters attacked before when Lady Silence was on the ship, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, has to have done.
Yeah.
But I remember at that point, the monster was running wild because it was, after Lady Silence's father had been killed.
And it was before she did her little ritual and cut out her own tongue. And
yeah, but now it seems to be, she tried that binding ritual, so she should have some semblance of control, right?
At least enough to say, "Hey, leave us alone."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's gone. I mean, maybe it's just the fact that it wasn't attacking because she was there, and it was okay. No, I respect the protection of her. Essentially,
Yeah.
Now she's out of range. It's like, well, they're free food now.
Yeah. I can see it playing like that. I can see it playing. I don't like to say the word revenge necessarily. That feels a bit too simplified, but I feel like it's thematically the idea that obviously it wasn't all the men. It was really just Hickey that kind of led to this. But this idea of them coming in and like just upending. I mean, not the entire culture, but just these outsiders coming in and disrespecting and taking lives and. I can see there being some sort of repercussions, sort of spiritually, for that, if nothing else. Because I'm wondering how deep down the mythology hole we go. Because we're going to have a reduced group next episode. We're going to have the small group with Hickey, and we're going to have, I assume, like a half the men of what we had before in the main
Yeah,
group.
it's going to be weird to see the show physically split into two camps, right? Because even though we've had various plot threads, things going on before, this feels very way more distinct than ever. Where okay, no, there are two groups to follow that are doing two entirely separate things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, assuming it goes the way we think it does based on the ending. Obviously, the next swerve is quite quickly earlier on next episode, but I do think I kind of see the Hickey group almost just playing out like a prophecy. You know what Francis said. He will burn through you like fuel. Like you're just resources to him to abuse. Like I can kind of see it just playing out, and Hickey just like having this really like dark ending on his own, where he's just dying alone because he's like, you know. Maybe the other men will realise what type of person is. Maybe he has to kill them. I can just see it like going down this tragic path.
This is the thing. I agree that all makes sense, but is that satisfying for him to just die on his own? I feel like it's got to be, Francis involved with getting him. Surely.
I don't know if it needs to be Francis involved. I think maybe there's the guy he used to have sex with, who he's still kind of controlling, and he's part of his group.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if him kind of finally realising who he really is and fighting back might be satisfying because he's been controlling him all season.
Yeah, maybe.
He's been manipulating him. I think maybe him standing up against him might be like, oh no, you've truly failed. Like as a deceiver, you have truly failed once he's said, no, you know what?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I've had enough of this.
Well, I mean, wait and see. I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't be, it would be bad if it was that route. I'm just, it doesn't seem as obviously satisfying, at least.
I suppose it depends if you expect like Francis's group and Hickey's group to cross paths again. I don't know if they will. I could see it going either way. I mean, obviously the monster could come in and just rip his head off,
it could, yeah.
which could be satisfying. But
I
almost
too
wonder
easy,
if
doesn't it?
Yeah, but I almost wonder if it was more poignant with it and tries to make more of a dramatic point. With
I think the reason I'm expecting it to cross paths is it's we've talked about the whole thing about it's all about the metaphor of the nature of man.
Yeah.
And you've got the good and the bad in Francis and Hickey. So it feels obvious to me for them to that's the final showdown is between those two.
I think what I like is that Francis himself and then Fitzjames even like they both have negatives and positives to them. They have this balancing act. And then the entire show to an extent is balanced. And we talked a lot about this at the start of the show, how Sir John wanted to do things a certain way, Francis was another way, and it was like no, a balance between the two is actually what would be most successful as a captain.
Yeah.
And I feel like, if anything, the pure opposite of Hickey's probably Good Sir, who's named very on the nose now that I'm thinking about it, because he is the Good Sir of the group.
That's true.
Not that I expect a showdown between Good Sir and Hickey.
No.
Dramatically, it's way more leaning towards Francis, but
yeah, that's the only reason I'm expecting it. It feels like that's the way for the story to play, but. I mean, they could do something else. It's not like that's not all they have to do this.
Also, Blanky being a badass with his fake leg, being like, "No, I'll walk. I'm not.
Yeah,
I can still do things. I can still go be an officer."
Yeah. No, he's on it.
Yeah. So no, I thought this was solid. I think this is up there with the best of them. Mainly because it kept this really strong atmosphere. As soon as that fog rolled in.
Yeah.
And everything with Hickey, where you're like, oh my god, I hate that you're lying. It's got that. It's kind of like how we were watching Lost in Space recently, and we really hated Smith. It's kind of got that effect where you just every word that comes out of his mouth when he's trying to deceive someone, you're like, oh, someone just kill him already.
Yeah, basically, he just wants someone to stab him.
Yeah, you've got that feeling in the pit of your stomach. So you've got good character work going on there. Francis immediately being suspicious of it and working things out was really satisfying. And like I say, the fog, the laughing in the fog, is there people out there? It's worth mentioning actually when after they investigate the crime scene, if you want to call it that, and they come back, they almost like the captain and co almost get shot because everyone's got guns and they hear them coming. They're like, oh, someone out there, shoot them.
Yeah.
So
he is not happy.
Oh, he's not. He's not pleased at all. But I also like that he doesn't chastise Little too much for giving the order. He says, you know what, you gave the order you thought was right when you gave it. So
maybe you should have done better. You should have gone to Fitzjames, but it could have been worse.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning. More people are getting sick. Fitzjames, we see he's getting sicker. That's all going. Yeah. So
his seems to be slightly more advanced as well.
Yeah. He's got more going on. He's got the. It wasn't even a bruise on him. It was because we saw the one guy who goes to the doctor and he's like got these giant bruises. That he's
Yeah, but
not,
that's the early stages.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's okay.
yeah, because that's the thing. Not the doctor. I mean, Goodsir's not even a doctor, but the guy who's helping Goodsir.
Not the doctor.
Yes, the new second in command in the medical division, if you want to call it that, is basically convincing again. Look, no, look, this is early on. This is reversible. If we get somewhere relatively soon, we can actually fix this. This is not doom and gloom. So no, and again, even that was kind of a sweet scene. It's kind of like we're seeing the men break down in different ways. Some people are going a bit crazy. Some people are getting angry. Some of them are getting really compassionate. You know, I think that scene with Fitzjames and Francis at the start. Because no, they're kind of like starting to like try to be strong for each other to like get them both, each other through it and so on.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what that scene with the not doctor, the not second in command doctor.
Yes, the other not doctor. Because
Yes.
we've got the one not doctor, which is Goodsir,
Yes.
and then we've got the even less of a doctor.
But I did like actually at one point in this episode, Francis did call him Doctor Goodsir.
Yeah.
It was like he's earned it. It's fine. Like, you know what? He's the doctor.
Yeah, it'll do.
Is what we've got, so we're doing it. The original asshole's not around to like correct him anymore. It's like it's Mr. Goodsir. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, you're proud of your doctor. You don't want anyone else using it. You know what? Do you know what? I'm just going to legally change my first name to Doctor, just to piss off actual doctors that I never earned it. It's just my first name. My first name's Doctor.
That'd be a right dick move.
It would, but everyone with a doctorate would hate your guts because you'd walk around saying I'm Doctor so and so, and they'd be like, "You're not a doctor." No, I am Doctor. I'm not a doctor, but I am Doctor.
I love how even in your fantasy scenario here, you walk up to them and they just know you're not a doctor.
Oh, they
just
know I'm not a doctor.
you're not even of any kind, not even a medical doctor. They just know you're not a doctor. You've not done a doctorate.
I could be a doctor. Can you get a doctorate in film? Maybe I could do that.
Yeah, sure.
Why not?
But I just love the idea that even in your fantasy there, you go, I'm Doctor So-so. They look at you and go, no, you're not.
Do you know what it is? It's the grin I've got on my face as I say it because I know it'll annoy them. I'm like, I'm Doctor. Oh dear. No, this was a solid episode. Full points. I don't think it tops the final 5 minutes of last episode. That's probably still my favourite scene from the show. But I think this episode.
I think this was a more consistent.
Yeah,
episode.
this was more consistent overall. I agree with that. So, no, full points. We got 2 episodes left. We'll see how chaotic it gets before we're done. So by all means, let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. There's a link to that in the description, and you can get a link to all the audio feeds and everything else on the top post over at Patreon. So it's worth going having a look. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?